Join us on Patreon and become part of our journey to uncover history's untold stories. Your support helps us create in-depth content, bring hidden narratives to life, and keep history alive for everyone.
In the quiet lull of history's whispers, there exists a tale that has yet to be fully unearthed, a story shrouded in the mist of Florida's mangrove-laden shores and the rhythmic tides of the Gulf Coast. The Calusa, often regarded as the fierce and enigmatic native people of Florida, occupy a unique and complex position in the narrative of America's indigenous past. Yet, buried within this narrative is a seldom explored perspective, the Calusa as Black natives of Florida. This dimension, veiled by time and historical obscurity, invites a deeper exploration into the lives, struggles, and legacies of a people who thrived long before European sails pierced the horizon. The story of the Calusa is a journey into a world where waterways were highways, shells formed tools and adornments, and spiritual beliefs were as fluid as the tides they lived by. Their domains stretched across the southwestern coast of Florida, encompassing estuaries, barrier islands, and intricate networks of mangroves. This environment, rich yet demanding, shaped the Calusa into formidable navigators and resourceful artisans. Unlike many of their contemporaries, the Calusa were primarily fisherfolk, deriving sustenance from the abundant marine life that surrounded them. Yet, beyond their adaptive ingenuity, lies the intriguing discourse on their possible African lineage or connections, a subject that unravels the intertwined narratives of race, migration, and identity in the ancient Americas. Historical accounts and archaeological evidence portray the Calusa as a powerful and dominant force in the region, commanding a vast territory and exerting influence over neighboring tribes. Spanish explorers in the early 16th century, such as Juan Ponce de Leon, encountered the Calusa and documented their formidable resistance to colonial intrusion. These early interactions, marked by both conflict and fleeting diplomacy, reveal a society deeply rooted in its traditions and fiercely protective of its sovereignty. Yet, within these accounts, descriptions of the Calusa's physical appearance have sparked debates and speculations, hinting at characteristics that some interpret as bearing African traits. The hypothesis of African ancestry or influence among the Calusa is not entirely far-fetched when examined through the lens of pre-Columbian transoceanic contact theories. Scholars have long debated the possibility of African voyagers reaching the Americas prior to European exploration. Proponents of this theory argue that ocean currents and trade winds could have facilitated unintended or intentional voyages across the Atlantic. Artifacts and oral traditions in various indigenous cultures have been cited as potential evidence of such contact. In the context of the Calusa, could there be threads of African heritage woven into their cultural and genetic tapestry? This question beckons a careful and nuanced investigation. One must also consider the broader historical landscape of the Americas, where diverse peoples and cultures intersected in complex ways. The African diaspora, traditionally associated with the transatlantic slave trade, may have deeper roots in the New World than commonly acknowledged. There are accounts of shipwrecked Africans and escaped enslaved individuals integrating with indigenous communities, creating hybrid societies that defy simplistic classifications. In Florida's labyrinth of waterways and isolated islands, it is conceivable that the Calusa could have had interactions with African mariners or castaways, leading to cultural exchanges and intermarriage over generations. The material culture of the Calusa further invites exploration into this possibility. Their art, craftsmanship, and ceremonial practices exhibit a richness that prompts comparisons to African artistic traditions. The Calusa's use of shells and wood in crafting intricate masks, tools, and ceremonial objects parallels certain African artistic expressions that emphasize natural materials and symbolic representation. Could these aesthetic similarities be coincidental, or do they hint at deeper transoceanic cultural connections? Oral traditions, though often dismissed by early European chroniclers, serve as vital conduits of historical memory. Within African and indigenous American cultures alike, oral histories preserve the essence of ancestral knowledge, migrations, and pivotal events. Exploring the oral traditions of the Calusa, if any remnants survive, may offer clues to their origins and interactions. Furthermore, linguistic studies could shed light on potential linguistic borrowings or parallels between Calusa speech and African languages, although such evidence remains speculative without concrete documentation. The Spanish chroniclers who first documented the Calusa described them with a mixture of awe and trepidation. Their accounts often reflect the biases and limitations of their time, yet they provide glimpses into the Calusa's appearance and demeanor. Some descriptions note dark skin and robust features, leading to interpretations that align with African phenotypes. However, caution must be exercised in drawing definitive conclusions from these observations, as European explorers frequently mischaracterized indigenous peoples based on preconceived notions of race and civilization. Archaeological findings in Calusa territories reveal a society deeply attuned to its environment, yet there remains a scarcity of human remains that could provide genetic insights. Advances in DNA analysis could potentially illuminate ancestral linkages, but ethical considerations and the preservation of indigenous burial sites pose significant challenges. Respecting the sanctity of these sites is paramount, and any scientific inquiry must be conducted with sensitivity and collaboration with descendant communities, if any exist. In contemplating the Calusa as Black natives of Florida, one must navigate a landscape where history, archaeology, genetics, and cultural studies intersect. It is a narrative that challenges monolithic understandings of race and indigeneity, urging a more inclusive and multifaceted approach to history. Whether the Calusa possessed African ancestry, engaged in cultural exchanges with African voyagers, or developed distinct identities shaped by their unique environment, their story enriches the broader mosaic of human history. The legacy of the Calusa endures in the waterways they once navigated, the shell mounds they constructed, and the echoes of resistance that defined their encounters with European colonizers. Their story, interwoven with mystery and resilience, invites us to question, explore, and honor the diverse threads that compose our collective past. In doing so, we uncover not only the history of a people, but also the enduring truth that identity is a fluid and evolving tapestry, shaped by journeys both known and hidden across the tides of time. As we delve deeper into the enigmatic history of the Calusa, the possibilities expand. Each discovery, each question, leads us further into a narrative that is as boundless as the seas that may have once carried distant travelers to Florida's shores. The Calusa stand as a testament to the richness of human diversity and the enduring spirit of cultures that refuse to be forgotten. In the whispers of the mangroves and the lapping of the Gulf waters, their story continues to call, urging us to listen, to learn, and to remember.